Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us on Eye on Africa. I'm Cyril Vanier, and this evening we take you on a night patrol through the streets of Timbuktu, a city targeted and sometimes infiltrated by Al-Qaeda despite constant military surveillance. Almost $250 million stolen. In Nigeria, the president names hundreds of companies and senior officials who embezzled funds under the previous leadership. And security forces prevent a meeting of opposition figures in Congo. The president's rivals tell France 24 they are now united in rejecting the results of the presidential election. 3 years after a French military intervention aimed at driving jihadists out of northern Mali, terror cells are still a daily threat. In and around the northern city of Timbuktu, they are able to recruit fighters, informants, and carry out attacks and kidnappings. Our correspondent embedded with the security forces who patrol these streets day in and day out. And as he finds out, the shadow of Al-Qaeda still looms large. François Riouet brings you this report with Alex Duval-Smith.
On a routine patrol, police have the company of United Nations armoured vehicles. It's midnight in Timbuktu.
Every week there are at least 2 or 3 incidents in or around Timbuktu.
Even as the city sleeps, the threat is constant. These streets have seen 1 kidnapping and 3 targeted killings in the past few weeks. Police say it took a full 7 hours for neighbours to raise the alarm after Swiss Methodist missionary Beatrice Stockley was abducted in the Abaraju area. That delay was the product of fear.
These are armed bandits. They are everywhere. They are here among us, so they're people we can't identify. That's just how it is.
Are you afraid they could come to your house?
They could come at any time. They're well armed and well trained.
The police say the people of Timbuktu always provide useful information, but the terror imposed by Al-Qaeda and its fighters is ever present.
We're on good terms with the residents, but people won't give names. They fear reprisals. You just don't know who is who. They're everywhere. They're part of the population. They have accomplices everywhere.
The UN says Al-Qaeda has dozens of fighters and is still recruiting in and around Timbuktu.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari seems to be taking the fight against corruption to an altogether new level. Yesterday, he revealed a detailed list, hundreds of companies and individuals, including senior military officers, who embezzled almost $250 million worth of public funds during the presidency of Goodluck Jonathan. We spoke earlier to Anna Cunningham in Lagos for more on this investigation.
The investigation was launched last year to look into the contracts awarded by the Office of the National Security Advisor from 2011 until 2015. And what's been revealed now is that more than 300 companies and individuals have been accused of defrauding the country out of a massive $241 million in fake contracts. Now, we have to understand why this has come to light now. President Buhari ordered the investigation after funds went missing to buy weapons to fight Boko Haram militants. They were allegedly diverted. And this statement lists a number of those being indicted as both serving and retired military officials. And they do include the former National Security Advisor, Samba. Now, just to give you one quick example, one of the companies named as Société d'Équipement International, it says in this statement, was overpaid to the tune of $8.9 million and also $7 million. So I think it's fair to say anyone looking at these figures would agree that the scale of the alleged fraud is massive.
Getting back that stolen money is all the more important for Nigeria since oil is no longer bringing in the money it used to. The government is hoping that Nigerians can be persuaded to buy local in order to prop up the economy. Shirley Sitmo has this story.
For years, this is what Nigeria has counted on, oil. The commodity still represents 90% of its exports, but oil prices have dropped, hitting Nigeria's finances. The government is now promoting local businesses, hoping to generate money and jobs.
And we just see this as an opportunity. We've seen it for years, but now we believe this is the time for us to really shine.
There's a law encouraging to buy local. Some lawmakers want to go further and compel public institutions to buy Nigerian products.
What we have proposed to do, and we have sent it to the National Assembly, is to change that word from may to shall. In other words, the first option policy of buying a made in Nigeria good is mandatory.
Will promoting local products save the economy? Some say it won't. About half of the Nigerian population lives in poverty and can't afford these products. But experts say that diversifying the economy is a good initiative.
The fact that you are starting the journey now does not mean that you are going to see the destination immediately. But at least let's have some kind of consistency in policies and action.
Buying local may not be enough, but if Nigeria's industries get more help, easier financing, better infrastructures, it would be easier for them to export, and Nigeria could be less dependent on oil.
Opposition figures in Congo were prevented from holding a meeting this morning in the capital, Brazzaville. A massive security presence around the headquarters of the main opposition party forced them to cancel a planned press conference by 5 of the president's rivals. Denis Sassou Nguesso was officially re-elected to another term in office this week, but the opposition claims that those results were made up. They intend to put out a joint call for strikes and rallies across the country. France 24 spoke earlier to one of the president's rivals, Charles Boao.
We're simply asking for all the election results to be respected. We are responsible people. We don't want to proclaim results that are not real. But the ones we have seen prove that we won the election and that the candidate, Denis Sassou Nguesso, was far behind our candidate.
Now to a flare-up of violence in northeastern Ivory Coast in Bouna. 20 people have been killed in clashes between farming communities and cattle herders. Arnaud Froger reports from Abidjan.
The tension between nomadic breeders and farmers are quite common in Bouna. Bouna is a small town located in the far northeast of Côte d'Ivoire. It's just near Burkina Faso and Ghana. The farmers regularly accuse the breeders of damaging their crops with their cattle, but this time it unusually led to a violent conflict that started on Thursday. The farmers being fed up with the authorities doing nothing about their damaged fields, decided to go straight to the Fula people being the breeders' ethnic group in this region. They started to set fire to the market. There was rising violence with use of guns and machete. So tonight the toll is very heavy. 22 people have been killed and 30 people have been injured. So there is, of course, a growing concern in the region, in the villages around. About 2,000 people have already fled their homes to take refuge to the closest UN nation camp. UN peacekeepers and 600 Ivorian soldiers are now on their way to restore calm to the region.
Staying in Ivory Coast, take a look at this video. Ivorians want you to know that despite Al-Qaeda's recent attack that killed 19 people and shocked the nation, they're still standing. This music video was filmed on the beach where the gunmen opened fire. It's called Même pas peur, not afraid. Defiant lyrics addressed to the jihadists. You will not go to paradise, says the song. All right, then just before we wrap this up, there's somebody you have to meet. Samba, the Black Panther. He's the mascot of next year's Africa Cup of Nations. He was being introduced to the public today in Gabon, the host country, alongside Gianni Infantino, the new boss of FIFA, and President Ali Bongo. You'll have, clearly he has some moves, and you'll have more time to get acquainted with him in January and February of next year when the competition is held. That's it from us. Do stay tuned to France 24. More news coming up right after this.